Okay, today what we have is we have a goal. I will write the equation of a line given its graph or its slope and y-intercept. So if you notice, it's 3.7 and I have part 1 because we're going to be determining equations of lines in different ways. So today what we're doing, as I said, if you're told the slope and y-intercept or if you're given the graph. So the next lesson, part 2, will be when we're given different pieces of information, how we can get the equation of the graph. Sorry, equation of the line. Okay, section 1. This is the easiest one. So if you are given the slope and actually it should say y-intercept, so make sure you change that to y on yours, you can substitute these values into y equals mx plus b to get an equation. So as I said, this is the easiest it gets. So examples, determine the equation of the line. Okay, so A, they've told us what our slope is, and they've told us our y-intercept. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take our y equals mx plus b, so that's our starting point, and we're going to substitute our slope in for our slope and our value for b into b. It's that simple. So we end up having y equals, and our slope is 2. We put down our x, and our b value is a positive 7. And you are then finished. It's that simple. Same kind of one here. Here's our slope. So y equals negative 1x. Our y-intercept is negative 4 this time. Now, this one isn't in actually good communication form because remember, we don't usually put a 1 in front. So I would just finish it by going y equals negative x minus 4. And that way I would have very good communication marks. Okay, so let's look at, well, we have to do a little bit more work than that. And that is when you are given a graph of a line and you can determine valuable information. Okay, and depending on the graph, you get different information. Okay, so sometimes you're able to get the y-intercept. Sometimes you're able to get the x-intercept, the y-intercept. You can figure out the slope because you know how to do that by drawing a triangle and doing delta y over delta x. Okay, so you have that information already. You actually know quite a bit, whether you realize it or not. And you could do a t-chart, which is just a collection of coordinates. We could figure out some points. Okay, now for us, some of this information is more important than others when we're finding the equation. And in most cases, what we are really after is we're after if we can get, and I know it's in here, here it is. Oh, wouldn't you know? I just love when it doesn't do that. So using 2 and 3, okay, the y-intercept and slope, we can substitute those values into y equals mx plus b. So in most cases, what we're looking for is if we can find the y-intercept and the slope. Okay, the reason being is sometimes it's much harder to get the x-intercept, plus we don't have y equals mx plus b. We don't have anything really with the x to help us there. So let's take a look at the first what I'm talking about, and that's down here. So you can see, and I'm just going to get rid of our cover there. You can see that here, if I'm looking at the x-intercept, it doesn't intersect exactly in the grid. So I wouldn't be able to determine for sure what that is. However, you can see that it's much easier to determine what the y-intercept is. And I could easily too then create a triangle, and I'm just trying to find out, obviously I have a point here, oops, and I just need another one. It looks like there. So what I could do is I could use this point and for -1, and I could create my triangle and I could get my delta y's. and my delta x is from that. So I would be able to get my slope. So that is really what we're going to, that's what we're going to be working on with our examples on the next page. Okay, so let's look at, it says determine the equation of each line. Okay, and maybe what I'll do is I'll maybe go back to this one, since those ones I'm thinking that we know a little bit more. Okay, so if I take this graph, we've already determined that the b is 2. And if I look at my delta y, I'm going down, because this is a negative one, but I have 1, 2, 3 is 3. And my delta x's are 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I know then my slope, notice I'm just writing over top of my graph, which is all right too, is going to be my delta y over x. And when I do that, I know I have a negative slope, and it's 3/4. So using these two pieces of information, I now have enough to create my equation. So y equals mx plus b. So after you've identified your slope and your y-intercept, is actually just like the first section that I talked about where they told you what the slope was and the y-intercept. So it's actually just like this now, and you found that quite easy. So let's go y equals -3/4 x, and our y-intercept was a +2. Okay, so it's that simple. So now we'll go and do those examples. Okay, so we have lines A, B, and I must have a C down further and a D. So I'm going to switch to blue, and so that we are matching. So now I'm looking at the first one. So I can see that it crosses at 2, so I can read that my B is 2. Now my slope. Well, I need to create a right angle triangle. Now, it might be easier for me to see exactly where it intersects compared to you. I'm not sure. It really does appear that it's crossing right at this spot, but then I would need to find another one. And as I'm traveling down, well, I can use this one. Okay, so here is my right angle triangle, and you can see I have a negative value, and I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my delta y is 6. Okay, and you actually could do that 6 over here. And my delta x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now I have my slope and my y-intercept. So now it's just a matter of substituting everything into y equals mx plus b, and we end up with y equals -6/7 x plus 2. And we're done that. Okay, so let's look at B. B is a yellow one, and however, I think the yellow I have chosen is not going to be great to view, so I will pick a darker yellow. And it's going to be a limey yellow. Okay, so for line B. Okay, line B, again, I follow it down the y-axis and I see that it crosses at 4. So my y-intercept is +4. My slope is going to equal, it appears that that's a nice spot right there. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, and my run is 1. So actually that just equals the number 4. And it's positive, it's going up. So again, y equals mx plus b, and I'm just going to move that up for you. And it's a matter of substituting our information in. So y equals 4x, and our b value we discovered was a 4, so a positive 4. All right, so we have 2 of the lines covered. So the next one is C, which is this one here. Now, when it comes to C, C is one of those special lines. So remember, we're always picking on those special lines. So I'm actually going to put a lovely little star beside it because it comes up so many, many times. So what we have with this one is the slope here is 0. My y-intercept is -7. And so if I actually put it into y equals mx plus b, what happens when my slope is 0 is that creates this mx disappears, right? Because that would be y equals 0 times x, which means that's gone, minus 7. So what you end up with is y equals -7. And in fact, all horizontal lines will equal y equals a number. Okay, so all horizontal lines give you that. And actually, maybe I'll just type that so that you remember that too. It's important. So all horizontal lines are y equals some number. Okay, and you can tell it by its y-intercept. Okay, and then if we look at our other one, which is D, which is our purple one, it's a vertical one. So again, it's a special one. Again, we want to watch out for it as well because those again come on tests as well. And so if we look at D, D has an undefined slope. And it does not, in this case, have a y-intercept. There just isn't one. Okay, right? It's not 0, there is none. So there is none. So then how do we create our equation? Well, it's special one. It's always going to be x equals, in this case, 5. It's always 5. Okay, so the same is true here for all vertical lines. They will be in the form x equals a number. So I'll type that as well. All vertical lines are x equals a number. Okay, and I'll just move that one over a little bit for you. Okay, so again, really watch out for the special ones, but it's really not very difficult to actually come up with the equation of the line if we have a graph. So that's important. So you have some practice with this tomorrow in class, and stay tuned for part 2 when we learn how to write the equation of the line using different pieces of information than just the graph.